So you've read the books, you've watched the YouTube videos, you've maybe even done a couple of courses. But now it's that terrifying question, how the do I get my first client? That's what I want to break down for you in this video. Because when you look around, every guru says that their method is the best. You'll get the cold email guys who tell you to simply copy their system. There's the social media people who tell you they've hacked LinkedIn, whatever the hell that even means. And then you've got those who say that if you just do a good job, the clients will come. Which is crap, by the way. I will tell you that right now. It's confusing, it's overwhelming, and it's downright annoying. So how do you get your first copywriting client? Here are 4 proven ways I've used to generate over $200 million in client revenue myself and help over 600 others kickstart their copywriting careers. So method 1 is cold outreach. And I kind of maybe badmouthed that a bit in the intro, but that's just because I would say 95% of people do it completely wrong. So those 95%, they send out mass cold outreach emails, they are very rarely personalized, and they're all about what's in it for me as the person sending it. What you actually want to do is reach out in a way that gets attention for all the right reasons. So put yourself in the shoes of the prospect. What would annoy you about cold outreach and what would make you actually open to maybe having more of a conversation? What would annoy you would be someone who messaged you who had no idea of your business, who made big claims without any proof, or who was just a bit of a pest. So basically they're the things we don't want to do. What would make you open to having more of a conversation? Well, maybe a piece of outreach that made you laugh, maybe something that added value to your business, or something that just went a bit above and beyond. So for me, when I'm looking to send cold outreach to get a client, I will think about that. My personal preferred way of doing this is actually to send them physical mail. So I will spend about an hour researching a client's business and I will write down all the ways I think I can help them. That might be in terms of their email strategy, it might be something on their ads, it might be something with their social media. But I'll make a big long list of those and then I'll pick 3 or 4 things I think I could talk about in a bit more detail. I will then write a letter to them, so not handwritten, but I mean I'll type one out. And I will do something to make it stand out. So that might be a funny image or a funny GIF that I've had personalized. It might be something that I get my design guy to do in terms of how we present that letter. So maybe it's done as like a newspaper article. And I will present my thoughts in there. As an extra step, I might even record a Loom video going through that and I'll put a QR code there that they can scan. That also has the added benefit of allowing me to see when they've seen that video, because with the way Loom works, it will tell you when someone's actually watched what you've recorded. So I will do that and I will send it to them through the post and then I will follow up via email. That's the way you do cold outreach that doesn't come across as a pest and actually is very, very value driven for the client. Obviously the downside to that is it does take a bit longer and there might be some costs involved as well. But to me, I think if I've got 10 hours to do cold outreach, I would rather send 5 to 10 really good pieces of outreach than I would send 1,000 ones that are mass, that are generic, and that probably aren't going to get responded to. Method number 2 is creating a prospecting portfolio and doing work for free. So the biggest question I'm asked is, how do I start a copywriting career when I've got no experience, I've got no paying clients? Perfectly valid question. So my thing is, well, you should be practicing copy anyway. You should be writing out stuff, whether it's copying sales pages, like doing the hand copying thing, or whether it's just writing for the sake of writing for practice. So why not actually do that and create a prospecting portfolio with it? So a prospecting portfolio is essentially a portfolio of work that you're sending to prospects. Nothing necessarily revolutionary there, but when you send that with some outreach, it actually shows a client that you kind of know what you're doing. Even if you don't have results, even if you don't have a track record, what it does do is show them your style. Now, to get a double whammy benefit from this, why not write those pieces for the clients you're reaching out to? So let's say I had a green supplement company I wanted to approach. Rather than just sending them a whole portfolio, I might write 3 emails for their brand and I would send those to them. That combines really nicely with method 1 because it adds on the personalization, it shows you're going above and beyond, and it's very, very value driven. Likewise, if I wanted to approach, let's say, a local yoga studio, I could write 3 ads that they could use. That would go in my prospecting portfolio that I could then send to other clients as well. But it also means I'm doing work for free that even if I don't get paid for it, it's potentially getting me a foot in the door and actually it's just good practice. So whenever you're starting out, don't just write for the sake of writing, write with the intention of creating that portfolio and of sending it to prospects. Method number 3 is joining an agency. Now there's a reason why I've not said joining a company here, and that's because even in today's age where degrees are becoming less prioritized by companies, there still seems to be this want or a desire for a copywriter to have a degree. So personally, I wouldn't be approaching companies. Agencies, on the other hand, tend to have a slightly more relaxed approach to that. So if there's a local agency to you, go and have a chat with them. Go to local marketing or networking events and see who you can meet. Obviously, you're still going to potentially come up with the barrier of, well, you've got no experience. But again, a lot of agency owners, they bootstrap their business themselves. They've never had a proper job. They're a bit of a renegade too, so they kind of get where you're coming from. They'll be much more likely to give you a shot in their agency than they would if you went to like a big brand who was advertising for a copywriter. The bonus of being in an agency is you will often get to work with a variety of clients on a variety of projects as well. Yes, the pay might be low. You might even have to work for free for a bit, but it's a great way to get your foot in the door and also to get feedback and see your work being tested in the real world. Agencies tend to move fast, so you will be under stress, it will be higher pressure, but at the same time, when you actually see how your work's performing, that helps you get better and it really fast tracks your career. A lot of successful copywriters have actually started their career by doing 1 to 2 years in an agency. And while it might not be the highest paid or the sexiest or the coolest way to do things, it's definitely a great way to make connections and to kickstart your career. And method 4 is building your personal brand. This one's a bit of a weird one because as much I'm in favor of building a personal brand, it's actually the slowest way to start as a freelancer. So what do I mean by building a personal brand? Well, essentially, it's positioning yourself as someone worth listening to on social media, online, or through an email list. Very, very worthwhile and very, very valid. And a lot of the clients you work for will have built their own personal brands. So definitely something you want to do eventually. The downside is it takes some time to do. So to build that following from scratch, it's also very slow burn. So it can be quite demoralizing when you're spending maybe an hour or 2 a day creating content for yourself and it's getting maybe 2 or 3 likes, you're gaining some followers, losing some followers, all that kind of thing. Long term, it's a very valuable play, but it tends to be the one that most people like to do because it's safe. Like you can sit there at your laptop and create a nice LinkedIn post or do a cool graphic for Instagram, and it's nice seeing that 50 people have viewed your story today. Ultimately though, there needs to be a purpose to building that personal brand, and everything you do needs to be geared up so that you are actively trying to sign clients. Most people get this wrong because they shoot for likes, they shoot for engagement, which doesn't really help. And like I said, tends to be something you need to do for at least a couple of years to get to that stage where you'll get inbound inquiries rather than having to go out to clients yourself. So there you have it, 4 proven ways to get your first copywriting client. Now, I'll be 100% honest with you, that first client is always the hardest to get. You don't have a proven track record, you don't have social proof, and you probably don't even have a website yet. But once you've got that first gig over the line, the secret is to leverage it for all it's worth. Make sure you get a testimonial from that client, ideally a video one, and you can even do it before they've run your copy. So ask them to write or record something about how easy you were to work with the minute you send their first draft. Also remember, go above and beyond. If you promise them 5 emails, write them 6. If you're working on a sales page, then maybe write 2 different closes they can test or 2 different calls to action. And if you're creating ad copy for them, then come up with multiple headlines rather than just one. Make sure you deliver early as well, not on time, but actively early. Everything you do with this first client needs to absolutely blow them away. That's how you'll get not just repeat work from them, but referrals to other people in their network who might want to hire you too. Again, none of this is easy, because let's face it, if it was easy, everyone would be writing copy and making a couple $100 a year purely online. But it is simple. Be consistent, lead with value, and most of all, make sure you follow up and you over-deliver. If you've got questions about signing your first copywriting client, leave them in the comments and I'll answer below. Or if you've done something different that I've not covered, let me know that too. I'll also drop a link to my free copywriting class down there and a link to my course, the Freedom Kickstarter, which covers all these methods plus a lot more in a ton more depth. So check those out and let me know what you think. Until next time, best of luck getting that first client over the line.